Come get lost with us on an unfamiliar planet as we discuss the new Lost in Space series. We talk about the original TV show, the 90s remake, and our thoughts on this year's Netflix reboot. Real quick disclaimer, because of our new table and setup, there is a lot of ambient sounds from the guests touching the table. I do apologize for that, and it will be taken care of in the future. Now let's get into this episode of Wreck My Franchise. All right, guys. So we're here today to talk about the new Netflix series, Reboot, Lost in Space, that came out, that only 3/5 of us actually finished. Oh, man. But the brown guys down there didn't.
Whoa! Triggered!
What is that like?
That? Call me out on the comments, but just subscribe.
Did you just assume I'm a guy?
I did. I just assumed your gender role. I did. So I'm going to do plugs real quick. Follow us, Wreck My Podcast official Twitter and Instagram account at Wreck My Podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, thank you. But be sure to click the subscribe button. Also find us on the iTunes podcast app. Rate, review, subscribe. Yeah, whatever. I stopped putting it. I did it on the first few. Yeah,
click right there.
I was just like, that's a whole nother step. I have to put it in the title. I'm just like, forget it. I'll just put it in the show notes.
The best is the thing was the last episode that you had where you just mentioned
the 90s
Brett. Like real quick, and you put his Instagram.
Yes. It was. Yeah, it was like, and then it went away. It wasn't even his whole Instagram. It was just like the first half because I was like, I don't know how he feels about that, but I thought it would be a good joke. So we're here today to talk about the second best Robinson family. Can anyone guess what the first best Robinson family is?
Mrs. Robinson's
Yep,
family?
on The Graduate, because she sleeps with the kids.
Spoiler.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about Lost in Space, Jordan. And I have about 4 pages of show notes today, which is way more than we normally have. So we're just going to jump right into it. But I will introduce everyone real quick. Krager, Kipka, Joe, Kevin. You've seen them before. And if you haven't, go back and watch some of our other videos, and then you will have seen them before.
That was real quick.
Yeah.
That was quick.
So,
Expedient.
does anyone know did anyone watch the original series, like the old school one? I never watched it. Yeah, so it was 65 to 68.
You didn't watch it?
I never watched it. Yeah. So all I know about this is the 1998. The 1998 like remake of it, and you just mentioned, Krager, that you watched it this morning. So it's fresh in your brain.
Yes.
Has anyone else watched the 98 remake?
Saw part of it on TV a long time ago.
Kipka?
The only thing
Kevin,
I know about it
Joe,
is that it has Matt LeBlanc.
Yeah, Joey's in it. It has a good cast, actually. Matt LeBlanc, Gary Oldman's in it.
I love Gary Oldman.
Yeah, William Hurt.
It's cool.
And then Heather Graham for kicks and giggles, you know.
It was basically the like if you picture who would be in a 90s movie, it would be them.
The most 90s cast
And
I've ever seen in my life.
That one, the Penny in that movie was that one chick. She was in Mean Girls. She was
Yeah,
all the
she
90s
was.
Stuff. Gretchen Wiener.
Yeah, it was Gretchen Wiener. Yeah,
nice.
She plays Penny.
she's
No.
super young and high-pitched, squeaky voice.
Oh yeah, her voice sounds.
She's
really
so
annoying.
annoying.
And she has like the classic 90s like punk rocker girl hairstyle.
She's crazy.
Punk rock,
Anyway,
you say, huh?
so the original series, the first season was in black and white in 1965, and then the next 2 seasons were in color. Dr. Smith and Robot B9 were actually not in the pilot. They weren't going to be characters in the show, but once it got, like they said, we're going to go into production with this, they added those 2 characters, which are probably the 2 most famous characters in the whole show, is the Robot and Dr. Smith. The TV show took place in 1997, so we're well past that point. And I don't think that in the original series, so the remake and the Netflix reboot, the whole crux of why people are leaving is because Earth is becoming uninhabitable. I don't think that's what it was in the first one. I think the first one is just that we're going to colonize space. Like, it's the space race, and we're going to colonize somewhere.
If my memory serves, they kind of they were kind of competing with Star Trek at that time.
Yeah,
So
they were. They were
so
on the air
very
at the same
similar
time
in
as
that
Star
way.
Trek for, I think, 2 of the seasons. The reason why Dr. Smith was on the ship is because he's supposed to be a secret agent for another governing body, and he was supposed to sabotage, but he got stuck on the ship. So then he had to like make it so he lived himself because, you know, he's self-preservating and everything. What the heck was that?
I don't know.
It was a rubber band.
It was a rubber band. It looked like an old rubber band.
Yeah.
It's probably older than
Used
us.
and abused.
I think this office is like 25 or 30 years old. So
Wow.
yeah, it's like early 90s.
Has the stains, to show it.
Yeah, right. All that rain we get here in beautiful sunny California, Southern California. So season 1 of this original show, we're just gonna go through the original show real quick, so people kind of who have seen the original show know some stuff.
Now.
Yeah, they are lost on a planet in space. Lost in Space. What do you know? So the first season, it's all about them being lost on one singular planet. At the end of that season, they get off the planet. But wouldn't you know, season 2, they get stuck on another planet. So now it's all about getting off that planet. But in season 2, so in season 1, it was more of an action adventure. It was very serious. In season 2, it became more of a comedy, where Smith became less of a sinister character, and he was more of a silly character, like getting in all these really weird predicaments, like
Hijinks.
Mr. Bean almost, but in space. It was like really, really weird and stupid. And this is when Dr. Smith started having all his classic lines, like everyone knows "Danger, Will Robinson" by the robot. That was actually only ever uttered once in the whole series.
So then why is it so popular?
The same reason why everyone goes, "Beam me up, Scotty," and no one ever said that in Star Trek. The same reason why everyone goes, "Luke, I am your father," when he actually says, "No, I'm your father." So you just get these things in your head. It's the Mandela effect. You just these things. Yeah. Like Nelson Mandela, everyone thinks he's dead, or he may be now, but everyone thought he was dead, but he wasn't alive. See?
I think that was a poor example.
Mandela effect in effect right now. This is Mandela effect in effect right now. And then, so that's what season 2 is. In season 3, it became more of an action adventure again. They got a little bit more serious. And for some reason, they found a magic space pod on their spaceship that gave them the ability to jump between planets, which they never had in the other 2 seasons. They kind of never addressed it. They're just like, hey, awesome, which it relates to the new series in the sense that how convenient are these things that they come up with in like the Netflix reboot, but we'll get to that later. Let's see. So do you guys want to know some of Smith's catchphrases and slogans that he used to say? Yeah.
Boy, do we.
So he would say, "You bubble-headed Bobby," or no, booby. "You bubble-headed booby."
Are you laughing at me, you bubble-headed booby?
And he would say, traitor, transistor toad, tin-plated traitor. He loved consonants. He wanted all the letters to be the same and to hang out together.
Caution and patience. Quiet, you mumbling master metal. I'll handle this.
So that's kind of funny that he did that. So the guy who played Smith, Jonathan Harris, I don't know if any of you have heard of him, have you? Jonathan Harris?
No, we're familiar.
No. Have any of you watched A Bug's Life?
Yes.
Yes. You know the praying mantis Manny?
Yes.
His voice is Jonathan Harris.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
He was like the older guy, like the one who was always scared of everything and like running around and crazy.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know which one.
Yeah. So that's Jonathan Harris. It was actually one of the last acting things he did before he died was that. But they actually have a catchphrase in A Bug's Life where Manny says, "Oh, the pain," and that's a line directly from Lost in Space, which none of us as children probably got. But I'm sure all our parents were like, "Heh." And yeah, that was about it.
How did that go again?
And so John Williams made the original score for the 1960s. That dude is old. That dude is old.
More of the story. Dude's old.
So, but he did in 1965. He made the score for Lost in Space, and in 2018 he made the score for Lost in Space. That dude is old. Like, what the heck? How is he still making music at this point?
It's impressive, though.
That is impressive. And John Williams, everyone knows him. Which, did you guys know, I just learned recently, John Williams was actually a jazz producer and music creator before he started doing music scores and everything. Which is probably why the Cantina song in Star Wars sounds very jazzy. Because it was like in his forte and in his lexicon and everything. You guys are all looking at me like really bored right now because I'm going through these facts real fast.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, all right. Well, we're done with the original series. Moving on to Act 2.
I did do my own little bit of research. And,
yes. Talk more into the microphone.
The voice for the robot in the 1998 is the same voice in the robot from...
Way to steal one of my facts.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, that is correct. His name is Dick Tuffield. Reprises his role as the voice of the robot. Yep, Dick Tuffield. He voiced both the robot in the 60s and in the 1998. So the 1998, since...
Did you hear his name?
Wait, what?
Craig literally Google searched Tough Dick and went, "Oh, Lost in Space."
He just searched
wasn't
Dick
even watching Lost in Space at the time. He was like, "Oh,
how can I make this? How can I make this sound legit?" Okay, so the 1998 remake was not received very well because, like everything in the 90s, they try and make things way too dark and serious than they're supposed to be.
I think that was a problem with this new show, too.
Well, I thought this new show did a good job of mixing humor and, like, reality and seriousness, but we'll get to that once we talk about the new show.
Actually, though, one thing I did look up, too, the Lost in Space movie supplanted Titanic as the #1 in box.
Stole my next fact again. It broke Titanic.
Stop talking.
It broke Titanic's #1 streak of 15 weeks of being #1 in the box office. This movie, the 98 remake, was the one that broke it. Now, does anyone know what Walking Dead character actually is in this movie?
Ooh, I'm gonna guess Shane.
No.
Oh, way too young.
Yeah, someone older.
Oh.
Which I rewatched this maybe like 6 months ago. It was on Netflix, and I was surprised this guy was in. I was like, "Hey, I know that guy."
Just hit us with it.
It's Lenny James, who plays Morgan in Walking Dead.
I was gonna say, I don't even have a guess.
So
I
it was
haven't seen
cool. He was only in it for like 5 minutes at the beginning. It was a really small
and his little
role.
thing. Although I will say, I saw him. I was like, "Oh, it's Forrest Whitaker." I thought it was Forrest Whitaker at first.
Yo, yeah, he looks a lot. He looks a lot like no.
he really
a young Lenny
look at me
James looks a
like-
lot like Forrest Whitaker. It's very true. He looks a lot like
the
him.
eye?
No, they didn't get close enough to see the eyes, so it threw me off.
So everyone knows that Matt LeBlanc is the one who played Don West. Like he's a big character and all that in this. But Sean Patrick Flannery of the Boondock Saints fame was actually supposed to be in that role. And he looked too much like William Hurt, they said, who plays Dr. John Robinson. And they're like, well, we don't want people to look like you guys aren't supposed to be related.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to look alike. No one else really looks like the parent, so we can't do that. So they're like, sorry, Sean Patrick Flannery. We know you're a good actor, but we're going to get Matt LeBlanc in here who's still filming Friends and had to be like transported back and forth from both studios, like cross country to like film this and everything, you know. But hey, it wouldn't be the 90s if Joey wasn't in this movie.
That's true.
So we are done talking about the past. Get that out of here.
He'll pick that up later.
Yeah, I'll pick that up later. So, are you guys watching porn down there? What are you doing?
Why is it the first thing you think?
I don't know. Why is it?
And he already picks it up.
I know. I picked it up. All right. So we're going to talk about the reboot now. So let's go down. What did you think, Krager, overall? Like, how did you like this?
The first episode 2, I was kind of like, it's like it's just another reboot, kind of whatever. But I really enjoyed some like the more intricacies. The way they portrayed the Dr. Smith character.
Yes.
It was very. It had a lot of depth to it and like a lot of different sides. I thought it was. They didn't just like, oh, bad guy has this one little motive and let's do it. Like, she changed a lot, you know, like kind of adapted.
It was hard to pin down what her motivation was because once you think you knew it, she did something that made you think, oh,
yeah, exactly.
Maybe she does have a heart. Okay, what'd you think, Kipka?
What did you say? Of the first episode or the impression?
Of the whole show, an impression of the show.
Yeah, I thought every episode was a little too long. They stretched some plot lines, especially what I've heard from most people saying that first episode was hard to get through because
it was really hard to get through.
It just stretched stuff a little too long.
That first episode was so boring.
I mean, that kind of persists throughout the season, but not as much.
No, it moves along a little bit faster, but you're right. They take a little bit too much time with certain scenarios where I'm like, let's just get out of this. Like, we don't need to spend a whole episode where they're stuck in this predicament.
Yeah, and they kind of push the almost like MacGyver situations every episode where it's like, oh, what could go wrong? Oh, that went wrong.
And how can we
Let's
fix it?
Oh, that didn't
and
work.
because it's a
but this works
sci-fi,
out now.
it's like, how can we fix this? Oh, a bunch of sci-fi jargon that doesn't actually make sense and isn't real, and it works.
It kind of reminded me of like House, you know, like every time.
I guess I never
wrong.
watched House, so I wouldn't know.
They think they have it, and then it's something else, and they have to solve that problem. And
It's like how convenient that this just happened to be a problem, and then you have to fix it. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but how boring would it be if everything worked out, I guess?
It wouldn't be Lost in Space then. It would be Trip
Things
to
working
Alpha
out in
Centauri, and that's it. It would be pretty boring.
Not
It'd be one
Lost in
episode.
Space.
Not Lost in Space. So my overall impression of this was it was Lost, in space.
That's what I've read a lot online.
I thought it was a lot like the show Lost, down to
Wait, I would like that then.
maybe because
Yeah.
so the first time they show the title card, it's the Lost font, and I'm like, what the heck? And that was the first time I started thinking Lost, and then they started developing characters by doing flashbacks, and I'm like, there's
That's
Lost.
very
And then there's even a moment too where they have this light shining up to try and like find the spaceship so they can see them, and I'm like, it's exactly like the freaking thing in Lost too on the island.
Wasn't it the bunker?
You mean on Lost?
Yeah.
Yeah. When they have
Yeah.
the light shining
Yeah.
when they find the hatch and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
It was like the same exact thing. I'm like, this whole show just feels like Lost set on another planet instead of on an island.
There wasn't really any mystery.
There was a lot of mystery. They had a bunch of animals that were random, just like when they had the polar bears and the smoke monster. But not really.
Or monster. They're just on an alien planet.
Yeah, so they're on an alien planet, but like
assumed to be weird.
But it was also like who's playing who. Like you think you have someone figured out, and then you're like, oh, they show you a flashback, and you're like, now I don't trust that person.
But that was only with one character.
No, I'm talking about Lost in Space.
Oh, okay.
But it's Lost in Space is what it felt like to me.
Yeah. I feel like I was reading people said that a lot online, but I think that comparing the kind of theme to what they're doing, it wasn't really that accurate. I feel like.
I don't know. I felt like it was. In my opinion, that's what I felt like from. But we don't have to agree on any of that.
Yes,
but if other people write on
the highway.
If other people write on the internet, then it must be right.
It's more wrong than
the internet is never wrong.
The internet is never wrong. So we're gonna go down episode by episode, just a few plot points here, and we'll talk about each episode. Cover your ears if you want to, but then we can give a little bit of back and forth of what we thought about every episode. So episode 1, we all kind of agreed, very, very slow. How far did you get, Joe? You watched like first 2 episodes, and Kevin watched zero. So you know nothing. So some of this may sound really weird, but so first episode was really boring. They crash land on the planet.
I didn't think it was that boring, actually.
When you watch the whole episode, because there's such a lull in there. I will tell you this. I was getting extreme claustrophobia when Judy gets stuck in the ice.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So did she.
Yeah, obviously. But I was like crawling in my skin, like just imagining me being in a situation like that, and it was freaking me out. I was going to call a twist ending from the first episode. So at the end of the first episode, I'm like, I'm calling it now. That black hole they went through at the end of the episode, they passed through time, not space. So they're on Earth, but like 1,000 years later. And that's what I thought some twist ending was going to be. And then as the show went on, I'm like, yeah, I was dumb. That's not true at all.
That would have been just basically stealing from the movie.
That's why it got in my head. I was like, oh, maybe they're doing the reboot thing. But that did not happen. The big thing that happened in this episode, 1, they crash. 2, Will finds the robot. There you go. They never really name the robot. Like in the show, he's like Robot B9, and he's from Earth. But in this one, he's like an alien. Like his ship is crashed, landed to.
They don't even like to say alien.
They
say
don't,
it like a couple times.
But that's it.
But they mostly just call it robot.
It's because we're so PC now, you know.
Yeah,
well, one of my major problems was like they ignore that this alien ship is there, and they just forget about it. Don't even talk about it for like most of that
until the end of the season when they need a convenient plot point. Yeah. This whole show is all convenient
all these
plot
issues.
points.
It's like maybe let's not try to check out the.
Yeah, I know, right? Especially when we have the robot on our side. Like, let's do that first. Which Will kind of gets on my nerves. Like, I get that he's a scared little kid, but I'm like, you've made every wrong choice. Like, everything that has gone wrong in this series is your fault, except for the very, very end when they figure out how to get off the planet.
Yeah, because he knows his facts about poo.
Yeah, he knows facts. Conveniently, doesn't think about it until the very end. And it's like, you let your dad go up in space and almost die, and you didn't think about this before?
Okay, that's what a lot of people complain about. It was like, he is a kid. And that,
I know.
Like,
he makes problems.
Okay.
I will give him that.
Bad decisions,
I will give him that. They were
what?
just like, he would make the decisions on his own without consulting others. And I'm like, ask
That's
an
what
adult.
A kid does.
Ask a freaking adult.
How many kids go up to an adult before they do something?
You're correct. Which, it's just like when you watch a horror film and you're like, turn around, the guy's right there, and you're getting frustrated. That's how I felt. I'm like, you get frustrated because you're like, just make a good choice. But they don't make good choices.
But then people are like, I hate this show because they made a bad decision. It's like, yeah, that's because people make bad decisions. Like, it's not like they wrote it on purpose.
I wouldn't say it's a bad choice.
No, it's like that person the character makes a bad decision. It wasn't a bad decision to write that.
No. Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to episode 2.
All right.
So,
peanut gallery over there.
Will learns in this episode about the secret of the robot, which we all know is that the robot was actually the reason that the Resolute was being attacked and crash landed.
Well, not the reason why it was being attacked, but
we don't know the reason why it was being attacked. We know it was being attacked.
Why it went down
by the robot.
Why it was attacked.
And Will decides not to tell anyone about this and to just keep it to himself because he and the robot's having a connection. We get introduced to Dr. Smith and Don West a little bit more. And I got to say, I love Don West. Like, this version of the character, I like better than the Matt LeBlanc version. He was very funny and cocky. He felt like the Han Solo of the Lost in Space universe.
He was kind of saving. Like, he was only humor, really, for a while.
Yeah.
The other characters were being a little too annoying or serious.
Yeah, but I liked his over-the-top humor because it offset.
No, I'm saying that the show
it offset complete seriousness of some of the other characters.
Yeah.
But
it was good.
Okay, so we agree, it's good. I'm gonna fight you.
Like watching the '90s movie today, I was all like, "Oh my god!" The taglines Matt LeBlanc is saying is just like,
"Oh yeah, they're all
on Netflix right
one
now,
words,
bro."
They're all one words."
One thing I did notice, or I paid attention to for some odd reason, was whatever planet they're on. It has so many different climates. Like the doctor and whatever that guy's name is, they're on some like desert part of the planet.
And like 5 minutes later, they're like in a
watch the show.
tropical planet. Yeah. If you watch the show all the way through, you figure out what's going on.
What's going on here?
Yeah, you figure it out.
You almost had a stroke just now.
It was just like,
my
what's
planet.
going on? It's like, watch the show, figure that out.
So we move to episode 3. Smith is now with the Robinsons. Robinson saved Dr. Smith, who we know is not actually Dr. Smith because she stole the real Dr. Smith's card.
Do you have another fact about that Dr. Smith?
Oh, God.
No, I don't. What's the fact?
I bet
Tell
you
me.
do, Gregor.
I do.
Here comes Tough Dick.
The real Dr. Smith that she steals identity of is Will Robinson from the 60s.
Oh, that's really cool. That's a fun fact.
Gregor did his homework.
That fact is 100% fun. So what I kind of liked about Dr. Smith, she looked a lot like Ripley. Like her hair looked like Ripley. Her clothes looked like an alien. What'd you say, Joe?
Believe it or not.
Ripley's Believe It or Not. No, Ripley from the Alien franchise.
Oh.
Sigourney Weaver.
Okay. Now that that's clarified.
It was very, very similar to that, which I thought was cool. And not only was that the only reference, this episode they referenced Jaws too, because Maureen Robinson, she has this big whiteboard that she likes to write to-do lists on for the kids. And at one point she goes, "We need a bigger whiteboard." And I was like, buzzing. Yeah, exactly. Jaws reference, Alien reference. Will has visions of the robot on the Resolute. They get the Jupiter out of the glacier, but the engines aren't working, so they're having a problem because it's stuck inside a glacier and it's going to crack on them, but they're trying to figure out how to get it out. And this episode had slugs that eat fuel. That was kind of creepy, actually. Like eels, whatever.
They were more like snake eel.
They're
things.
snake eel things. I like the fact that they every like 2 episodes they introduce a new like animal that makes it very like Jurassic Park horror feel, where you're kind of like on edge, like suspenseful, like what's gonna pop out. Because they have like the thing where like the basement's flooded. And then John Robinson goes down there, and you are like seeing this perspective of like water moving towards him, and you're kind of moving with it on the camera, and you're like, he's like talking to like Judy or Penny up top and not paying attention. And you're like, oh,
yeah, right
it's
when
like,
he goes up the ladder.
Yeah, it
like
comes back down.
How you're like,
You guys watch movies with me. I'm like, yeah. So, and I was gonna say one thing. Another a series franchise that this reminded me of is Will and the Robot's relationship reminded me a lot of John Connor and the Terminator and Terminator 2.
Okay.
Especially to the point where Will like tells the robot like, you can't hurt anyone.
I
like
could see that,
that's
yeah.
John Connor and the Terminator.
Yeah.
It was so
I kind of tired of movies that have like the friend. They make the robot try to get like friends and like personality. It's like, it's a robot or is it? It's, I don't know.
Well, I was waiting.
Like
I really wanted the
Wall-E,
robot to
stuff
like
that.
I wanted the robot to sacrifice himself for Will in a
man.
burning volcano and do the thumbs up. Yeah. He's going down. I'm like, that'd be great. Although that does happen in Ready Player One. They do that reference, which is really, really funny.
Spoiler!
I still want to see
Listen,
Bro!
listen, that movie is filled with about 300 Easter eggs, so me giving you one is not going to ruin
That's
anything.
one less egg.
That movie, yeah.
It's one less egg now.
Sorry.
That is
You'll-
like really want
That
to
is
see,
like
you
a quarter of a percent
yeah,
ruined.
If you wanted to see that movie, you would have seen it by now. It's been like a month. Come on.
I would have assumed my friends don't spoil it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
saw
Spoiler
A Quiet
warning.
Place instead.
Okay.
Well, why don't you go and
so,
drink Tide Pod instead?
so we're moving it.
He brought it up.
Tide Pod's on the mind. Okay, so episode 4, they get out of the glacier. Okay. We learn that the reason they left Earth was because some asteroid like hit Earth and is making it uninhabitable. And we also find out that others survived the crash. So the Robinsons' Jupiter isn't the only Jupiter, which I liked because the original series, it was just them. I like the fact that now in episode 4 they expanded the cast because it's like, hey, all these other people like are alive too, and we get to have these other character interactions now, which made it feel like Lost again. Because it's like when you see the others and stuff, and you're like, oh, they aren't the only ones trapped on the planet.
To preface this, Kevin, they're traveling in a big group of people to another planet because you've never seen. So
oh yeah, so the Resolute is a giant ship, and then the Jupiters are like their little ships. Yeah. So when in the first episode, when they had the attack, they all get in their Jupiters to evacuate. And that's why they all crash on the planet. But you only think the Robinsons crashed at first because you don't realize there's other people until Smith and West.
Okay, so an asteroid crashes on the planet and makes it uninhabitable. That's
Correct.
What you said?
But because that's all we know at this point.
No, okay. So later we learn that the technology that makes the ship go
is the alien technology
is
that
it
the robot.
That's
from the robot. The asteroid.
I think it's
because the asteroid wasn't an asteroid. You find out later the asteroid was an alien ship that crash landed.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So it was from that.
But we didn't get there yet.
No, who cares? Okay. People are watching this because I'm confused about that part of the show.
Okay.
So what they stated about it is so they can see the big asteroid that's gonna really mess up Earth. They can see that coming like weeks or years away.
Yes.
This small one, they just found out like a few days before it was gonna hit Earth because it's a separate one.
No, but they're saying so the Earth is becoming uninhabitable because of that crash.
Because of that crash, but the crash wasn't an asteroid. Because Maureen even says she's like, we have satellites to detect this. Like, how did we not see this coming? It's because it was an alien spaceship that crashed. So we find out that these aliens, their drives create black holes that shoot you through space. So it came through space, it popped up next to Earth and crashed on Earth. Because we've seen it happen twice now. We saw it at the beginning of the series when the Resolute, the reason that it happens is because the Resolute is using that hyperdrive to get them across space. And so it opened up a black hole and sucked them in. And then we see it at the end of the series when they have the little drive from the alien spaceship that crashed on the whatever planet they're on is inside the Robinsons' Jupiter, and it starts taking over. And then it shoots them over. And remember, they're like, I think at the robot's home world, we're not quite. They kind of imply that, but we're not quite sure.
Yeah.
But the Earth is becoming uninhabitable just because that one spaceship crash.
Because it messes up the ecosystem. If you have a big enough something hit the Earth big enough, it messes up the ecosystem. It messes up it just ruins everything.
Yeah. Ask the dinosaurs.
Yeah. Or you can't.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on to the next episode, they find out there's more people alive, and one of them is a guy named Hiroki Watanabe, which shout out to a past episode is Johnny Tsunami, the grandfather, and he is looking
the grandfather.
Yeah, the grandfather.
The kid?
Yeah, the grandfather, and he's looking old. He's looking haggard. He was really old.
He's like,
Please tell me he was going, ooh-wee.
No, he was so.
Didn't get a single ooh-wee in this episode.
No,
any of these episodes.
He was really quiet and reserved, like very, very reserved. He was like a zoologist or something. I don't know.
Pono?
No, he didn't say Pono. Although that would have been great if he did. Yeah. He's trying to get with Mrs. Robinson.
Try the entire time.
All right. What happened in that episode? They built the light. So they find out that the Resolute is still in orbit. So they realize they have to get to the Resolute, but they realize that the Resolute's communication dish is gone. So they have to build a light that they can see from space. So they build this big light, and we find out that John Robinson is actually Judy's stepdad, because this whole time my biggest question was, why is Judy Robinson like African American and everyone else is white and redheaded?
I feel like they didn't explain that well. Even
no, they really didn't.
All they basically said was, I was in the picture before he came around.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, but I still didn't understand. Does that mean that's Mrs. Robinson's daughter?
Yes, it is.
I believe so.
No, that's what it is. She's not adopted.
Hey, man, I'm going through a growth spurt. Trying to become a big boy.
If we time lapse this episode, it's him turning into a man.
Every time his voice cracks, can you put the dog bark?
Yeah. Help me out.
Yeah.
No.
It's gonna be like a little chihuahua bark.
No,
yeah.
I'm going through puberty. You're just jealous because you're losing your hair.
Yeah, that was honestly bugging me for the longest time. Like, just tell us why she's different.
I really wanted to know why, like, if she was adopted or what was going on.
And I feel like they're just like, oh, we'll throw it in there like a few episodes in. Oh, yeah, she's half related.
Because they wanted to cast this girl. I think that's, like, essentially what it was.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I thought it was fine. It was just that it was weird when they kind of said I was there before. It still didn't explain it as well.
A few episodes later, they explain it even a little bit more, and I think that John actually says something about like.
Yeah, he finally does.
He finally says something explicit about it when he's like with Dawn up in space or whatever.
Time.
Yeah,
and that relationship between her and Don
is
was
weird.
Super creepy.
Creepy because
me.
she's 18 and he's like 30
Oh,
or
dude,
more.
He's like 35.
Which I knew it was coming because
in the 90s.
Yeah, in the 90s remake, Judy and Don are like a thing, and I'm kind of like, are they gonna do that with this? Because she's really young and he's really old.
He was like 5 years younger, like looking like it would have been fine, but he was just pushing the envelope. He had a little bit of a beer gut.
I guess Don West's tagline is like "Killer clowns from outer space. In space, no one can hear you scream."
Jesus.
Okay.
Oh no, that's aliens.
That's Alien.
Although Killer Clown is in space, no one
Okay.
eats ice cream.
Is it really that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm doing a little bit of calling my shot. I think her dad is gonna come back in the picture in the next season.
For sure. Season 2, her dad's gonna be there
Has to.
They're
at
lost
some
in space.
point.
How's he gonna get there?
Because he's gonna be like
An Uber?
Yeah. Space Uber.
I think the dad's out of the picture.
No. Maybe like the reason the dad left is because he went on one of these missions and he got lost.
Because he's an
there.
alien.
Yeah, he is the robot. The robot's the dad. Called it here.
The only thing,
M. Night Shyamalan
the
presents.
mom to get Will on the trip,
What
she
a
has to
twist.
make some kind of shady
Yes,
deal.
so
but who is she making?
She doesn't make a
deal
shady
with?
deal. She doesn't make a deal. She tells Will she made a deal, but what she did is she broke in and she hacked into.
No,
she broke into
emailed
the.
somebody.
No.
She didn't
She
even.
was talking
Yeah.
to somebody.
Oh,
Yeah, someone did it for her.
Someone did it for her. So you're right.
Yeah,
she
but
didn't
what
make
did
a deal.
she give them?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Money.
well,
I'm
why is
guessing
that
money.
goods?
No, it wasn't money. It was like
Mrs.
information, I
Robinson.
think.
What did they say? Because
I
I don't
don't remember. I'm asking
remember
you.
because it was like a little instant messenger
Yeah.
like
They
thing.
they
and
never say what she offered up.
Uh-oh.
no, because
It
the
was- I think it was
person
she's
just says, "Are
working-
you sure you want to do this? Because there's no going back." And she says, "Yes, I'm sure." And then the person goes, "It's done." And when she refreshes the page, because in the future you still have to refresh the page, it shows that he's passed.
Honestly, they could either go with like some intricate, like going in detail about blackmail, or they could be like, "Oh, it's never going back because he'll be in space."
Well, no,
shit.
okay.
Or we can just not talk about
She's
it
the-
because it's a pointless thing.
No,
it's
because
like,
she's the one who helped design like all these like spaceships.
Why are you
She
here?
said, right?
here, tell us a joke, Kevin. Contribute a little bit.
Put him on the spot.
Dude, think of a joke. We'll come back to you.
But right, they say like she helped design the spaceship.
Yes,
and she's
she
like, I don't know
knows
how you're
she-
gonna power it, but then she
yeah,
said,
she helped design how to house the stuff, the Jupiters or something like that.
Yeah.
She was
I don't know,
she
so
was the
she has-
safety lady.
Yeah.
she has like information
She
that
was
could
a
help
rock.
someone with. I don't know. So I'm thinking maybe someone else is gonna come in.
Well,
the
it could have
picture,
been
maybe.
no. It wouldn't have been Dr. Smith, the Judy Harris character.
No, because
Or
they say
June Harris. Her
No,
name's
no,
June
because
Harris.
they say she designs like pretty much the Resolute and everything involved in it.
Yeah.
Like at first, like, oh, I just designed the little safe room, and then they do the flashback where it's like, oh yeah, my team designed the whole freaking Resolute.
Yeah.
You know?
No, she designed everything
Yeah,
except
so she
for
has
the.
access to important information. I feel like she gave some, and I feel like that might come into place sometime later.
Yeah. All
I
right.
have a question for you.
Yeah.
If this was something that could actually happen, would you volunteer to colonize a different planet?
Duh.
Here's what I'll tell you. I would probably sign up to colonize. I don't think I would pass the tests because they were going through some hard tests, like astronaut tests.
It was tests or probably a lot of money because
Yeah,
Dr.
money
Smith's
too.
sister probably wasn't passing all those tests.
No,
but
she
had enough
wasn't.
Money.
Yeah, she could pay, and then that whole relationship I was confused about only because I felt bad for June Harris at first because it's like, oh, you have a really crappy sister who's kind of just throwing you under the bus, but then I'm also
Not
like,
really.
you're also a really terrible person
That's
that only
what-
looks out for yourself.
So the first thing she said, like when she started talking to her, was like, "Yeah, I'm a con artist or whatever."
Yeah.
I think everyone I was reading online was saying she is a psychopath, and I think the show they really flirt with the idea of trying to make her likable to you so you can relate to her.
Yes.
Like, oh, her father didn't love her when her mom died. It was like, okay.
So
like,
she could be redeemable later.
Maybe
Get
that's why.
over it.
Yeah, get over it.
Daddy
We
didn't
all
love
have
you,
daddy
get over
issues.
it.
Go back
He
to like
wasn't
the fact that
there.
like her Smith's sister, whatever her real name is, shouldn't be eligible. They say later, she was like a physicist or something like that.
She was a physicist,
Okay, yeah.
but
I'm a doctor, not a physicist. Sorry.
a good Star Trek reference.
Put it on board.
But what did you think about the Smith gender change from
That's
the
fine.
original? I thought it was fine too. I kind of like how I don't like when they do it like in Ghostbusters for the sake. No, not
We
like
looked at each other like, gender change?
like they
quick
changed
snippet.
they changed the gender of the character. In the original, Dr. Smith is a man.
I thought they just got really advanced
No.
medicine on this new planet.
No. She is portrayed by a woman in this one. It was a man in the original. I kind of like it because, like, in 12 Monkeys, they did that too, where Bruce Willis's character, or no, I'm sorry,
12 Monkeys.
Tyler Durden, Brad Pitt's character is played by a woman in the TV show of 12 Monkeys. And I kind of like that because it brings a new thing. But I don't like how they do it for, like, Ghostbusters and crap like that, where it's like we're just doing it for the sake of it being a woman.
Have you guys seen the trailer for the Ocean's 8 or whatever?
Oh yeah,
It didn't look too good. I'll tell you what looked good.
Whoa, hey,
what's the one with Mila Kunis and then some other random
board.
chick? The Spy Who Dumped Me. That looks funny.
Yeah,
I like that.
That does look funny.
Because they have a whole conversation about a
I
sex
think it's
dream Mila
Kristen Bell.
Kunis has.
I think
with,
it's
no, it's not
Kristen
Kristen Bell.
Bell.
It's
It's
like
not?
Kate McKinnon or something like that.
No, it is. You're right. Yeah.
But they have a whole thing in the
Sex
trailer
dream?
about a sex dream with a minion that Mila Kunis has, and then she's like, just the one with the one eye. Like, that's better. And then, like the other ones. I love it.
Everyone's funny.
No, it's probably
No,
going to be a really dumb
it's
movie, but it made
basically
me
like-
laugh in the trailer.
it's gonna be-
Dating.
Okay, what also bothered me about the show is when
Yeah, bring it back,
Will
Kipka, bring
made
it
the
back.
robot
Really?
walk off the cliff,
Oh, so stupid.
and then no one literally talked about the robot at all. Like
Oh,
no one
yeah.
talked about
Yeah.
the,
no,
what he
they just
did.
accepted it like,
Like,
what, he left or
No
something?
one even asked like, what
No.
did you do to him? What did like no one
Was it off
everyone-
camera? Because that should be something that's on camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, like no one
Cameras
questioned.
were rolling at
Oh,
that
the
time.
robot tried to like kill someone. He disappeared. All right, no big deal.
Yeah, it was like it was off
Will didn't
camera. It
tell
was
anyone.
discussed like,
Drama
okay,
on
it's
the
cool. He
robot.
took care of it. I know
Well,
the
I will
episode
say
before,
that
was
moment was so emotional with the robot. For someone who doesn't have a face, I actually felt bad for that robot. I was like, oh, that guy. He's
They
like,
do that in every movie
Yeah.
show. The robot.
It's kind of like how I feel about Rocket Raccoon. I was like, he was the most emotional character in Guardians of the Galaxy. And he's a raccoon. I felt like this robot was like the most emotional character. and he's
Raccoons
a
can have
robot.
feeling.
Yeah, they can have feelings.
How did
Only
you
if they
like
talk.
the robot? I liked it. I thought
I loved it.
I really.
it's
liked
like
it.
everyone's like, oh, it's totally a man in a suit. It's like, yeah, but it looks
yeah,
so
but
good.
it looked
Yeah.
awesome.
It did.
It was
like,
amazing.
the first episode, like it was all CGI when you first meet it, and then it's a man in a suit. I'm like, oh, it's a man in a suit. Like it doesn't even look half as good.
I
And
didn't
then-
even think of it as a
I
man
didn't think
in
of
a
that
suit for a
either.
while.
I really loved it. I thought it was
I
great.
thought it was like, is this CGI? Like, looks really good.
Yeah, I
It's-
thought it
looks
was
real.
perfect. It was. I would have that robot as my friend. I love that robot. So in episode 7, I had the question: why is it that only like 3 episodes out of the whole series has an actual title sequence? You know what I'm talking about? Like a little introduction where it's like the years go by. Like only 3 episodes in the whole series has a little like intro
I don't know
thing.
what you're talking about.
You know the thing where
paying attention?
no, you know the thing where it plays music and then it shows like the 60s when
Like the title screen.
Yeah, I skip that every time.
Yeah, I know. I skip it too, but it only appeared on I think 3 of the episodes. It didn't appear on every episode.
I did kind of throw me off. I mean, I don't know.
It was weird. I was like,
just-
be consistent.
I just kind of let it be, let it simmer.
I either want to skip the intro every time or none of the times. Keep it consistent. I don't know why. My OCD, that made me really upset for some reason. So now, in episode 7, they had the cool thing where they found the fuel. They were going to get the fuel out of the other Jupiter that Don West
my
was in.
God.
Another convenient thing.
Oh my god!
Like,
They're like,
everything's
oh, it's gone over the cliff. Stop! No, it's below
That was
us.
so
I know.
obvious.
Oh
though.
my
Yeah,
God.
like
Wait,
why
it
didn't they
was
think of
here?
that in
It's
the
on
first
here?
place? Yeah, like maybe use your brain, sir. Like, come on, everything. It's just so dumb how everything is so convenient to the plot line in this too. It's like, why did you wait till now to mention this? Like, why? What's going on? You know?
What bothered me was he fought so hard to get any info about Dr. Smith to
Yeah.
prove that she's lying about something. It's like, you don't need to prove something. Everyone already knows she's shady.
Yeah, like the one little thing you got. Why'd you need that whole briefcase?
You're not like going to a council. There's like 5 of you.
Yeah, go
say,
tell
like, you
them,
don't
and they'll
trust
be
her
like, "Yeah,
anymore.
that's true. Let's just put her in the brig till we get back up there, and then figure it out."
Or just stop
They
listening to
preface
her.
this.
Yeah.
There is no rules. Like there is no law, no governing body.
Yeah, but that's why Dr. Smith is so scared, because she killed someone, and the dude is saying, "There's no rules up here. I don't care if you killed him by accident. You killed him," and that he's like, "I'm pretty much gonna do capital justice on you, an eye for an
I think
eye."
We've pretty much established that she is a cold-hearted bitch who kills.
Oh, yeah.
Like she fucking
She
poisoned
doesn't
her
care.
sister. She
Yeah.
barking
No,
poisoned
she
her
didn't,
sister.
poison
she
her
didn't
sister.
poison her
Yes,
sister.
she-
She made her fall asleep.
yeah.
She stole her stuff.
She tied her up.
Yeah,
They showed
she
her
didn't.
tied up.
Oh, I
She
didn't
didn't
see the
poison.
tie
She
up.
didn't kill her.
I didn't
She
see-
legitimately.
Their
she
team
le-
is gonna watch now.
Wait, what'd you say?
They're making a tied-up joke.
Oh.
Oh yeah, perfect segue. Tell your joke. No, you look up.
Ooh. Wait a minute.
I'm gonna look up a joke.
A brief intermission here, brought to us by Kevin's phone.
Da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Why are you playing Christmas music? For those of you watching right now, it is April. What are you doing?
That's the first song that came to my mind.
And it's really hot out today. All right. It's because of the Santa Claus, huh?
Popo Shisho.
Popo Shisho. That song always reminds me of the Santa Claus.
Yeah.
What's your joke? Nothing? Wow, that was a waste.
I tried. Look, I don't have like anything. See, so one bar and one love.
I apologize.
No.
Terrible.
Weak
Terrible.
ass.
Okay, so we're moving on. They
If
get
only
the
they had
fuel.
Wi-Fi.
They get the fuel. We do, but
They get the fuel. He gets his blackmail.
yes, we
No,
get
he
the
gets
fuel.
his
He
he gets his
gets.
known-
He
gets his
knows
known
that
name.
I think
Smith.
they prefer
He
to
knows
just be
that
called
Smith
mail.
is bad.
That's the one thing you say in like 20 minutes.
That was a good joke. That was a good joke. On the way home, conveniently, one of the characters needs to get out of the van they're driving in and fix something. It creates a scenario where now they have to pick between the fuel or this kid named Evan if he's gonna live.
Who's a surfer?
Yeah, who's a surfer.
And a ginger.
Judy picks Evan and gets rid of the fuel. So now
Which
we have
is
another
like-
problem.
Okay, I gotta
Really,
say,
he's not going to survive. He's
No,
got a truck
we
and a rock.
knew he wasn't
and
gonna
on top of that,
survive.
they're like, the rock is the only thing keeping this pressurized. Lift a little, pull him out, put it back down.
Yeah,
Like, why can't you try that?
I know. I don't.
I didn't think that. Why didn't they try to dig underneath a little bit?
Yeah,
Like,
it was
they were gonna waste
dirt.
that time
It
anyways.
was dirt. Like what the heck? I don't know. It just seems like everything is convenience
Would've
in
been for
this
the plot, yeah.
the plot, pretty much. So they save Evan. They lose the fuel. Evan dies on the way home.
But
Oh
Dawn
boo-hoo! They
gets
made the
major
wrong choice.
bonus points with Judy.
Yes, Dawn is now in with Judy, but out with everyone else because everyone's pissed off that he helped make that choice. So everyone's mad at Judy and Dawn because it's like, well, you just screwed us over. So we end the episode with the leader. I forget his name. Something Indian, right?
This is getting real racist.
No, what is it? It is. It's something like.
Didn't need to say that. Just the leader.
What is his name?
Don't worry about it.
It starts with a V.
One's a
Well,
bar.
No, his son is VJ.
Cool. VJ's dad. Let's go.
VJ's dad. I forget his name.
dad.
He's,
Papa.
yeah, he's the leader of the group or whatever. He decides we're gonna take the our spaceship up to the
Because
Resolute.
there was just enough
for
fuel,
his.
So they thought.
Supposedly, we get to the beginning of the next episode, and John. Oh, and also we forgot this whole episode has a B plot of John and Maureen stuck in their
the
little
tar pit?
van in the tar pit, like they're stuck in tar. And so John is gonna sacrifice himself to get Maureen out. And last second, she conveniently thinks of a way to get out so that he doesn't have to sacrifice himself, even though they've been stuck in there for like 5 hours. Like, where was this thought back then? So they're out. They see that the family's trying to take off. They stop them because they're like, you don't have enough fuel to break atmosphere. And they're like, no, we do. And they're fighting, but they go in and stop them. So now everyone's pissed off at everyone. And the jig is up for Smith because now Judy and Dawn are coming back, and they know that Smith is not who she says she is. So she's kind of freaking out and trying to play everyone again because she's been playing everyone up to this point.
Dawn got an ID badge with the real Smith's picture.
Exactly. So they're like, why is she lying? Because you wouldn't go to that much trouble to hide your identity if you weren't hiding something pretty significant, which
Why
is
you
true.
always lie?
So John and Maureen's relationship is starting to repair because of their tar pit shenanigans.
Tar pit shenanigans.
And
oh yeah, you totally glossed over that.
glossed over it because it was useless. Didn't
Basically,
need it.
the Robinson mom
said
and dad get.
I
stuck
said it
in a
real
tar
quick
pit.
because we don't need to sit on it too long.
There's healing involved.
Ayo. So they figure their best bet is with the amount of fuel they have is to strip down one of the Jupiters. John and Dawn are going to go in it, and they're going to try and make it out pretty much blind. They do this. They have Smith put in jail. And Will lets her out because Will's way too trusting, and Smith has been slowly manipulating Will since the beginning. And because of this, Smith then goes and knocks out Maureen, who's helping John and Dawn. This is really convoluted. John and Dawn blow up when they're going out of space, and everyone thinks they're dead.
Well, she's directing them, giving them the guidance
Directions,
because they don't
yeah.
have any computer systems like
How'd
the
they not
readings.
die if they blew up?
Well,
Convenience again. Convenience once again.
they're on.
They're-
Because they're main characters.
Next
and
time
this
we see
isn't
them
The
again,
Walking Dead.
They're on a little bitty piece of spaceship.
Yeah.
Floating
That's
around
another
the planet.
thing.
Which is another, like, I was so claustrophobic
They
about.
don't-
It's like this big.
They don't kill any characters like in the show. Really.
Evan dies.
Who's Evan?
The one with the tarp.
I mean,
the one with the
remember
who had
you
the thing crushed on. They had to. Judy had to pick between them.
yeah, they killed
He's the only
one
one that
guy,
really
yeah.
dies.
Yeah.
They don't really let
And all the
anyone
people
die.
on the Resolute that the robot kills. 27 of them,
But
as
like,
we learn.
out of the for the most of the show, they don't like
No.
any deaths.
I thought a
happen.
lot more people were gonna die. So we get to a scene later.
No
and-
animal attacks.
Yeah, I was gonna say we get to a scene in the next episode that I thought a lot of people were gonna die at, but we'll get there in a sec. So there's an explosion. Everyone thinks John and Dawn is dead. I'm like, yeah, right. They're main characters.
Except for
they're
Will.
not dead. Yeah, Will doesn't believe they're dead because the innocence of a child.
And he's got that radio. He's
Precious.
trying to
Yep.
use their
So-
Morse.
So at this point, Smith, we're almost there, guys. We got 2 episodes left.
When Aang smiles.
I mean, how did you? When he was carrying around that radio with the Morse code going off, and they're
Yeah.
going into a cave where they had to be quiet, it was so,
You knew something was gonna happen.
So obvious something
yeah.
was gonna happen.
Completely telegraphed. So episode 9, Smith steals Maureen to try and help her get the robot ship going and to put the robot back together. Will comes up with this new idea that we can convert fossilized poop to make fuel for the Jupiters, where it's like, where was that?
Poop?
Like 5 episodes, kid. Yeah.
As in a human poop?
No, so all the
Cooked
animals,
poo?
all the animals on the planet have been like they're fossilized. Like it's just like we get fossil fuels now from like fossilization of the animals that were here a long time ago. Same thing on this planet, and they realized that these rocks that they thought were rocks this whole time is actually fossilized like fecal matter that can be converted because the Jupiters conveniently have converters on them now that we have not heard
No,
of.
they
to
do.
this
They
point.
talk about
They
those
do
in
Did
the-
they?
They talk
When?
about in like the first episode, like,
Yeah.
oh, we need more fuel. Oh, well, we have the bioconverters.
Oh, and she
they
said it'll take years.
It takes 3 years worth
For
of human
humans.
fecal to like get in the fuel. Well, why
You're
would
right.
you design
You're
something
right.
that can
Yeah,
make
Taco
it
Bell.
like?
This is where the Tommies wreck your butthole.
Well, no, I feel like that was like super like stupid. Like, okay, if you're gonna create this, but it takes 3 years. If they need fuel and their only source is through human fecal matter, you'd think they'd need it quicker
ahead
than
of time.
3 years.
No, I think it was a way to get rid of their shit.
Yeah,
And
I don't think they were thinking of using it as fuel to fuel it. I think they were just thinking of like, hey, what's a good way to biodegrade this and also make it somewhat useful?
Yeah,
I-
that was
future
that
right
was
there.
why it was
I
interesting.
call bull
It's
bark.
a fuel.
No bull bark.
That's the way
So
of the future.
Any future.
they go into this cave to get some of the fossilized caca
more poop
out.
rock.
Yeah, more poop rock. And it's not pop rocks, it's poop rocks. And they go in and they have to be really quiet because there's like these bat things in there.
Well, Johnny Tsunami's like, hey,
Yeah.
Johnny Tsunami's grandfather.
No. Johnny Tsunami is the grandfather.
Yeah.
Johnny Tsunami.
Johnny Tsunami's like, hey,
We are correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Duh.
He wasn't there for that podcast.
yeah.
I should have been. I love
He's
that
like,
movie.
there's like some gnarly animals around
Yeah.
that are making this, and they're like, oh, but we were fine when we were here earlier, but we didn't really look around.
Yeah, just up till now. But they did run into that one when they made the light, the big animal that
No,
the
it was
robot
different.
saved them from. No, it was a different animal. But they ran into
No,
like
but they were saying
hostile
when
animals.
we were in this cave, we didn't.
Oh,
Run
that's
into
right,
anything
because
before.
the Robinson kids were in that cave episodes earlier, and so they made it out luckily. Well, they go in and they have to be really, really quiet for these bat things not to wake up. And of course, Will again has his little beeper thing go off.
looking for his dad.
Looking for his dad. And his dad actually responds, but it makes a loud noise. Now all these bat things are starting to attack the people. I thought a bunch of people would die there.
Oh, I thought at
No
least like
one
a bunch
dies.
of they had a bunch of random people that we never even
No,
seen
exactly.
before. Like
it was
those
perfect.
guys are gonna die.
It's perfect for all those people to die.
How
No.
did not one of them get picked up and just fly away?
The only one
Seriously.
with Johnny Tsunami got picked up,
Yep.
and then
George
they
R. R. Martin wrote
conveniently dropped him.
Yes.
They'd all be dead.
It was too much convenience. It was too much convenience.
Well,
so
that's the other thing about the show was I think it is supposed to be a family-friendly show.
yeah, it's
but
PG.
It was
Like this
such a
podcast?
weird, yeah, okay, such a weird like line toting. Like I feel like that's maybe all shows now.
Yeah.
It was pretty dark. I feel like for a kid.
It was
like some
pretty
of the
dark
stuff
for a
there.
kids show, but you're right. It was rated PG, so you assume it should be good for kids.
But
Well, I
then-
mean, also considering how like there was so much death they showed on the Resolute when
Yes.
the
Yeah, it
alien
was like,
attacked,
that's not
and
really-
like,
But it was
once-
like
once
laser
they're-
beam death.
But once they're on a island, like a planet with a bunch of creatures they have no idea how to handle, and they have no weapons.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we're all safe. No one's gonna die because we have some makeshift little knivey things.
Yeah, it was convenient in
Yeah.
that sense.
they also didn't want to 3D print any weapons.
Well, they
not
couldn't.
even like a knife.
Oh, yeah, they could have done. Well, I don't know, because it wouldn't let them do a gun. I imagine anything that's like classified as a weapon. But why not like get some like crowbars and stuff? You know,
something.
Bat. Something.
A bat.
a bat,
Negan
sure.
bat.
And then let's see.
3D print some barbed wire.
So they do all this. Everyone makes it out. Smith says a cool line to Maureen. It says that I'm not the villain of this story. I'm the hero. While she's trying to like convince her that she didn't really want anyone to get hurt. She's just in this because she's like, I need to protect myself. Like people have the bad, a wrong impression of me. I'm really not that bad. More of her just lying and manipulating, trying to save her own skin.
You know what it really kind of reminded me of? When she was trapped in the brig, it really reminded me of Heath Ledger's Joker.
A little bit. It reminded me more of Ben, like Lost again, where it's like, do we trust her? Do we not trust her? Like, I don't know what to do at this point. Like,
never Lost.
Oh, okay. Well, you're just kind of confused of like, are they playing me or are they being serious? And you can't really tell because they're very convincing. But we do find out in this episode, something we touched on earlier, is that the robot was attacking the Resolute because of the engine. And we find out that the engine was the alien ship was the asteroid. It wasn't actually an asteroid.
She figures that out just because of the static of her hair.
Yeah, that was weird.
I recognize this.
It was something with static electricity, and it was like, what? Okay, all right. It was
when she was on the
weak
main
connection.
like, human spaceship. They stood near this thing that said "Do not enter," basically, and then it's like they're like, "Oh, Mom, look at this! Our hair's going up."
When
in
did
the air.
we touch it?
It's like, "Oh, this is cool."
Basically,
Mom's like, "Oh, okay, that wonder what that is." And then they go on the alien ship. She stands next to something, and her hair goes up. She's like, I recognize this. It's like, what?
From the balloon you rubbed on your head as a child?
Yeah. Basically, everything in the show is like some like innocent child discovery turns into very important.
Now,
everything
the word that you guys have used more than anything is convenient.
Oh, yeah.
It is
everything that furthers the plot is like, okay, you only found that out because you did something very uncharacteristic of anyone in that situation. Like, no one would actually do that in this situation, but you did it, and it convenently showed you where you need to go next on the plot.
Which is why I said that reminds me of House, because, like, it must be this super, like, rare disease that it is, and then it's something very simple that we never noticed before.
Yeah, and it was a lot less Hugh Laurie, which makes it worse by association.
Was it Smith that when she broke out, she saw people coming out of there, and she saw the alien engine?
Yes.
They were talking about like
no, she didn't see the.
She sees the guys coming out like they're coming for this.
When she was on the Resolute.
When she was on the Resolute,
I think so.
Right?
Yeah, she did see it.
What I didn't learn, so we get to the end of this episode, and this robot is now fixed, and the robot works for Smith. What I don't get, so Smith takes everyone back to the Jupiter to like get back because she's like, we need to go. Everyone else is taken off.
She gave up on trying to figure out.
She gave up on trying to fix.
Which sidebar, like, how dumb is it? Oh, she keeps trying to put it together, nothing works. You don't think of touching it to the ship would do anything? Like,
I don't know. She
says it's communicating with the ship to recharge. She doesn't think to touch the ship.
She's not the smartest person alive.
She's pretty freaking
She's manipulative,
smart.
but she's not science smart, so she doesn't think to do these things. My biggest thing was, so everyone leaves except for the Robinsons because they're waiting for Judy and for Maureen because they don't want to leave without her, and she's still with Smith and the robot. Well, they come back, so they're like, we got to get off the planet now. There's like a volcano, and we got to get off now and everything, and the planet's going to blow up and all this stuff. When did they bring that engine thing? Because that plays a huge part at the end of the episode. Who picked that up? I didn't even see that.
She had the robot put it on the vehicle.
Oh,
underneath it.
So she did that. I must have missed that part.
I think she just was like, "This looks important."
They basically they didn't show it happening, but in one scene they show the engine underneath the chair.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was. I was confused
really make
about
sense
that.
Why she would even take it?
No,
it's like that's not going to help you get up.
No,
you're not you trying to use it.
Yeah, it was really
convenient
weird
for the plot.
It was very
exactly.
For the plot,
so we get back. Smith is like, we got to take off. We got to go. And she's like, they find out that John and Dawn are still alive, so they want to go get them out of orbit before they go to the Resolute. But Smith's like, we don't have enough time. The Resolute's going to leave, so no, you can't do that. So Maureen hatches this plan where she puts the whole ship in danger so that the robot will freak out and want to protect Smith and lock her in the hub, which is the central, like the most safe place on the ship.
No, that's...
Yeah, he takes her in there because it's the most safe place, and then she goes and locks the door and then takes them out of danger. She was essentially plummeting the Jupiter back down to the planet to destroy it, to get the robot to leave so that she could lock Smith away so that then she could do whatever she wanted to.
Which then again, that's a pretty dumb robot. Just go.
Well, it's not. He's just trying to protect her at all costs.
A robot doesn't
again, convenience. They lock her in this room, and there's like no way to get out.
No,
and Smith is like, oh, she wouldn't have created this without a way to get out.
That made
so
sense,
I'm gonna read this
good.
manual and figure it out in like 13 minutes on how to like do this.
That
like,
part made sense.
I don't know.
What also really frustrates me is like they're barely gonna have enough fuel before she pulled that stunt to get back to find them and get back to the Resolute, and she has enough time to go gloat and then go back. Like,
yeah, I
was
know.
like, really, you just be like, you can't like hustle.
It's kind of like when there's a scenario where it's of urgency, but the two main characters stop to kiss. And you're like, get on the freaking thing! What are you doing? Like, it's that moment.
There's always time for that.
There's always time for a kiss.
Jordan hates love.
Always gonna make time for the nookie.
Hate love. Okay, so there's a standoff. Then the robot actually gets out. There's a standoff between Will and the robot in the hangar area of the ship.
It's like, why won't you love me?
Yeah, like he tries to get the robot to like remember him, but the robot won't. So essentially, they shoot the robot out of the airlock, and you think it's gone.
Yeah.
But in classic
robot can't fly.
Yeah, in classic monster movie fashion, for some reason the robot has a ship out there with another friend, and so another robot and that robot then come into the ship.
I guess what I don't get is, so another robot flew his ship and caught that.
No,
robot
I think it was a different
air.
robot ship. I think it was like the other robot ship.
Yeah, another robot flew his.
His own ship and picked him up.
But I think it was that other robot was going after that. It was. I guess maybe they activated that engine.
Yeah, I think they did. It got activated, so it knew it's like a beacon, and it knew where to go get it.
So it was just going for the Jeep, and then as it was flying over, he's like, "Hey, that's my buddy."
Yeah,
grabbed him.
Well,
hello, Bobby.
Pulled him in. What are you doing here? That's so weird. And then they go in together. Now there's two robots that they have to fight.
And then the good robot looks at the other robot, and then they sync up and like, oh, we're bad again.
Yeah. Well, then the robot we know and love recognizes Will when Will's in danger because Will's about to die because his suit gets cut.
Yes, but he didn't recognize it when he slapped him away.
I know.
Put him in danger in the first place.
Yeah, it was kind of that's inconsistent too. But he remembers, so he starts fighting his buddy then and realizes the only way to save Will is that he's gonna like throw his buddy out the airlock with him attached. So the robot essentially sacrifices himself to save Will and the family. That's sweet. But then the problem is, now another convenient plot point is that the two girls are stuck inside the little van, which is pressurized and has oxygen, but the glass is starting to crack, and they don't have their helmets, and the door is stuck open to the hangar, and they're in
mom's
space.
Also cracked too.
Yeah, so Will
She's on crack.
finally steps up. Will's character has always been a coward up to this point. He finally steps up and is like, I'm going to go outside the ship in my spacesuit, climb over, manually close the door, because that's a thing, then climb all the way up the spaceship into the top hatch and get back in.
Because
But
now
also,
I finally
he's
have little man
8-year-old.
balls.
Like,
Yeah.
he's always
Although
been a
I do have
coward.
to
He's
make
been
this
an
like
8-year-old.
one little connection. Will is like Carl from The Walking Dead. You just like want to just like get the hell out of here.
I understand. I wouldn't want to
He's
do those
so
things either. I'm
barking
29
annoying.
years
You
old.
guys are crazy. He's an 8-year-old.
Yeah. I agree. But what scared me was when he like fell. Like, so he saves them. He shuts the door manually. He's on the outside of the ship and he's trying to climb the ladder on the outside of the ship, and he accidentally slips. And he's just kind of
he doesn't. He doesn't
like,
slip. It's a big.
Oh,
reach.
it's like a big reach. It's like in bouldering.
Yeah, he's trying to reach, and he doesn't have the reach.
And he doesn't have the map.
out to
Shout
Bouldering.
out to Bouldering. He doesn't have the map below that I fall on every
it's
time.
because he's hurt from where the robot hit him and broke his suit. It's like,
Yes. So he's floating away,
Just like
like sad, which was actually really emotional because if you think of it, you're like this little kid and you're like, I'm going to float in space until I die.
Then again, if you've watched every episode in the show, you're like,
you
oh,
know
what convenient
someone's
thing
gonna
is going to
save
happen
him.
next? M. Night Shyamalan.
So,
harpoon gun.
yeah, his dad. Yeah.
right through the chest.
They have
Just lay it. Just boom.
what is this? So John ends up saving him on this harpoon gun, and we find out that John and Dawn were saved because Smith actually saved them. So Smith does have a heart. She did something
they
good.
kind of do precursor that.
Well, they make, I don't know. You know that they're gonna get saved, but you don't realize that Smith is the one that's gonna save them. So she does a redeemable quality.
No, she only does that because it's what else is she gonna do? So it's only gonna give her
I
bonus
guess.
points. It's only gonna help her be more
because she wants to manipulate again.
Yeah.
And Maureen even says, because they lock her up again, Maureen even says, like, I'm never letting you out again. Like, don't even try and tell me anything. Because she's trying to be like,
Don't you do it again.
Yeah, she's like, I knew I needed to save John and all this stuff. And she's like, I don't believe you, shut up. And like leaves pretty much,
Yeah,
essentially.
she lost all her bargaining power, and she
Yeah.
knew that. So it was like, well, I gotta act like I'm a good guy.
Yeah.
again.
So now we get
She's
to the very,
assuming
very
gender.
end, and they're like, okay, the Resolute's gone at this point because they told us they were going to leave at a certain time. So what we need to do is we need to ration our food up here, wait till the Earth is habitable again, the planet is habitable again, and then go back down. So you're like, oh, crap, like season 2 is going to be them on this planet by themselves now. Lo and behold, the Resolute comes over the horizon. They waited for them. No man left behind. And they're like, we're going to come to you because you're out of fuel. So they're slowly going over to the
Because
Jupiter.
that Victor guy, the entire
Yeah, his
time.
name's Victor. That's what it is, Victor.
It's Victor Dar.
Yes, that's it. Victor Dar.
Victory.
Okay.
I know.
Victory
No, so
Dar.
the entire series is just like basically
he's a hard ass.
kill one person to save everyone else, like every single time. And so, like this one family, which has been the bane of his existence,
Excuse me?
An existence.
No, and at one
No,
point they
that's-
supplanted him as like supreme commander of like the situation. He's gonna imagine like, you know what, I'm gonna bring these guys back.
Well,
They haven't been like real enemies. It's just
They've just been butting heads about ideology of what to do next.
Man, I want to do this. No,
they're
we should
both
do that.
actually good
Yeah,
people.
but it's like there's a freaking black hole.
He's not gonna
like,
try to kill people.
well, no,
Just
but
'cause-
it's like, I
But no, it is a surprise because it seems like he's so strict with the rules. He's like, we can't do this because we have to do that. We don't have enough time. He doesn't seem like he cares about saving people.
Well,
like,
anyway.
he try to leave.
yeah.
the
He tried to
Resolute
leave
shows
everyone.
up to save them.
Yes.
We think it's all going to be good, but we know there's got to be a twist. My nose just got all stuffy. That was really weird.
Gotta pick it.
So the alien drive starts activating in the Jupiter, and it sucks them into another black hole, and they come out into this area. Do you hear that? What the heck?
What the heck is wrong with this guy?
What's wrong with you? Okay.
I don't
His
know.
like eye
I like-
bulged out of his head.
I need to like blow my nose, but I can't right now.
Suck it up.
Sucking it up.
You got some bogeys going on.
Seriously, it's like when I talk too much.
Danger
for
bells,
some reason.
danger
Booger.
alarms, bogeys.
It's a nice change from when you used to drool when you talked.
I know it's true.
Well, also
Okay.
the engine like
You weren't supposed to
grew
bring that up.
like
Yeah, it's like sentient. I don't know.
it grew out
Um,
little like stems and leaves.
tentacles.
Yeah. So it essentially takes them to another area in space. They don't know where they're at. That was kind of drawn by the alien, the robot. So we assume it's his home world, but all he said when he drew it was danger.
Yeah.
So we know it's danger. And that's it. That's how it ended. So I thought the show was a great balance between humor and action, and I thought it was a good sci-fi fun thing. It wasn't like anything spectacular like creating something new, but it was just something fun to watch. It was like 10 episodes
So you
long.
liked it?
I liked it.
Oh.
It was entertaining the whole time.
Yeah.
I thought it was good.
Sound like it when you
No,
guys
no,
talk
I
about
really
it.
like it. I mean, as long as you're not
kind of
putting
make it hard for you to like it too sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you're like, oh, that's just like the convenience of it's kind of a bummer, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun. What's going on down there?
He needs something to play with here.
Oh.
Here you go.
No,
I'll use mine.
He's got to peel something.
So
off.
yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was good, and we kind of talked about how like the convenience was there to further the
Yeah.
plot and everything. And I feel like we're kind of just stammering on about it now. We've done
Well, no,
everything.
like it really was like when like the first episode and a half was like this is gonna be like so hard to get through.
Yeah.
And then it got more interesting, and I really loved like the growth and like the depth of the evil character. I feel like 2018 is gonna be good year for the bad guys.
Yeah.
You know, with Black Panther bad guy and this
Yes.
bad guy.
So Smith was good.
And then and then honestly watching the movie with Matt LeBlanc. That was so terrible. Like it made me like really appreciate this series more.
I like this Don West way more. I really like this Don West. I thought it was good. He was probably my favorite part of the whole show. Was him. So thank you guys for being on here. Thank you for you two listening to something you have no clue of what's going on and making a ruckus down there. I want to apologize to the viewers for all of the loud sounds you hear because Kevin keeps slamming his. Yeah, anytime.
Oh my God! It's
All you guys have been doing that pretty much, like slamming things and all that, and I hear it in my headphones going crone, crone, crone. So I'm sure you guys are really annoyed listening
you
to
can
this
probably
right now.
turn that out.
Okay, that's enough. Calm it down over there. But
Calm down, Joe Cubas.
so I want to plug, if you like this episode, go back and watch this last week. We had a 90s theme song trivia that just got released. We also have, good Lord, it is a mess. And Joe's not even drunk this time.
he
If you
isn't.
want to see Joe drunk, go back to last week's episode, the 90s theme song trivia. Also, we have a Sailor Moon episode. We have an Are You Afraid of the Dark episode and a Goosebumps episode. Lots of
Johnny
good fun,
Tsunami.
lots of fun, good nostalgia stuff that you can go watch. We have a new episode come out every Wednesday, and sometimes on Saturday we have a bonus episode come out.
What was it? Wreck My Podcast After Dark.
Yeah, this last Saturday we had a Wreck My Podcast After Dark where we talked about a bunch of stuff.
Leave the kids at home.
Leave the kids at home. Hide your kids, hide your wives. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode,
And
but if
hide
you
your
didn't,
husbands.
screw you. It's my show.
wives.
Hey, I'm trying to sign off down here. I'm trying to tell the viewers, screw them. This is my show. Goodbye.
Bye.